Alright, so this video has been on my mind to make it. So I want to give y'all like a backhand of like my family dynamic, or whatever case may be. So sometimes we find ourselves in a situation where we ask like, why us? And a lot of us don't know that we called to be generational curse breakers, right? My grandmother, so my great grandmother only had one child. My grandmother had six. That's actually started like our whole thing. I feel like that was a curse breaker, because if she would have been selfish and she only had one, and then her child only would, it wouldn't have been all. I wouldn't even been here, because my mother was not the first child. I wouldn't even been in the loop, child. I wouldn't even been here. But no. So my grandmother had her six children, and all of them were like prayer warriors. I will always see like my uncle, for some reason, my sisters, I will always catch my uncle praying, and like praying for hours. And God had told me recently, like, my family is like intercessors, but the generation after my uncles and them were called to be more than that, and to be more than intercessors. But going back, so one day my sister sent me upstairs. She like, go tell Uncle Richard that the food finished. I think that's what it was. I went upstairs, came back downstairs. I'm like, you praying? Hours went by. Went back upstairs. Like, go back and tell Uncle Richard. Go back and see if Uncle Richard's still praying. Went upstairs. Came back down. He still was praying. But he was on his knees, but he was switching knees. Like, when I came up, I think he was on one knee, and when I came back, he was on a different knee. But he was praying. All of my mother, my aunts, my uncles, all prayer warriors, all intercessors, right? Somewhere after that, their children, even though they were raised in the church, departed from it, separated from it, went astray, right? I had my little situation, and I came back to Christ. I grew up in it. So I say to say, I didn't know that I was called to be a generational curse breaker at first. I did not know this was on my life. I did not expect this. But since a little girl, it used to be like little things that would happen, and I just be like, how I know that? How? Like, what made me say that? What made me, whatever. So I say this. At 5 years old, I was molested. A lot of women in my family had that experience too. No one ever really spoke up on it. And I really didn't find out that this happened to a lot of women in my family until I publicly said that online on Instagram. And that was a video that I was not comfortable with sharing. God had me share it. Not too long ago, in the midst of me praying, God wanted me to reveal something to my family. Now, my family is very blunt. But when it comes to like letting people know about themselves and those type of things, it's not really heard of, because everybody is not really receiving to accountability. That's what I want to say. They're not really receiving to accountability and holding on to it. Is, oh, you trying to play me type of situation. But anyway, so a lot of want to point out stuff to you unless it's like in a negative perception. Like, they don't want to tell you like, oh, you been like, pull you to the side, like you've been feel better, da da da. No, it's only when you interacting, and it's like I hope y'all follow along, because it's like I feel like I'm a little too hood or something. But anyway, the bitterness, the unforgiveness, the jealousy, the envious, none of that was really talked about. Everybody shied away from it. But here come God, Brooke, and telling me certain people stuff, pointing it out. Nobody in my family ever done that. Why I had to be the one, right? So fast forward, someone that I don't know what to consider them now, but anyway, was telling me like, you got a lot of people around you that don't care about you. I've been like that since I was a kid. So me having to open up and do what God called me to do, to tell everybody this, knowing that a lot of them don't really care for me or don't really like me, it was either you gonna do what God calling you to do, or you gonna do what your flesh calling you to do and be timid. Hey, I'm going with God. Like, it was hard to do, but I did it. So me going through this situation with my breast, I said to my father, and I said to my mother too, I think, I said, it's crazy how thyroid problems run in my family, and the breast cancer thing running in my family. I said to my mother, I said, well, how am I the only one who ended up with the stuff that's carried on in the family? So you had me, not you had me, but I had to go through the whole process of being molested, and that's spiritually carried. That's your spiritual code that's being carried on to you. So that's why, that's another thing. I don't want to go into bloodlines and stuff like that, but being molested, having to be the one that basically tell people the truth about themselves, to hold them accountable, going through like health issues, being the one that has to go through all of that. And I was sitting there thinking about that after I spoke to everybody, not everybody, my mother and my father, telling them about that, saying this and whatever. The thing with Kevin Gate, when he said, when I go through stuff, I used to be like, why me? But now I be like, why not me? I promise you, that's how I feel in my chest. Like, you really called to be a generational curse breaker. Why not you? Why didn't you ever think that you was going to have to battle health? Why didn't you ever think that you were going to have to, a lot of things that happen in your family, you were called to be a generational curse breaker. Why didn't you think that you were going to have to be the one that go through that? You know you called to do things. That's why I said, I'm not letting this, yeah, I may feel down and get down for a couple of days, but I'm not staying down, because that's not where I'm supposed to be at. That's not what I'm called to do. I'm not called to shut up. I'm not called to just be quiet and not say nothing. I'm not called to do that. Sometimes the way I say it may be a little aggressive, but God's been dealing with me with that. I've learned to like tone it down a lot, because I used to say something rather, like, remember I said, I was that. I'm not even gonna hold you. I was that. I was letting you know about yourself when we got to an argument. I wasn't telling you before then, but I was letting you know that I'm not doing that. If you're doing something I really don't like and I don't care for, I'm pulling you to the side. You need to calm down, shorty. Like, you doing too much. And that's just how I've been moving. But it's like, if you feel like you carrying a lot of weight from your family, and you feeling like, why you? Why not you? Why not you? You called to do something. You chosen. You're called to do something. You need to start doing whatever you called to do. That's what I want you to know. Do what you told to do.